Awesome. Okay, great. So this is a little bit informal, black and white slides, nothing fancy, but I wanted to come and share some update about life after the SSI Fellowship. I often forget which year I was because it was COVID, but turns out it's 2022 and a lot has happened since then. So those of you who haven't been following along this whole time, or if you're new, my fellowship year was in fact 2022, and I set out with a few specific goals. I wanted to meet other user experience designers who were working in software for science and learn about their experiences. At the time, I was feeling very alone, surrounded by scientists and researchers, and not a lot of folks who were interested in picking up design as a discipline within research software. And then I wanted to know, when it comes to working with RSCs, what was holding them back to embrace usability tools and practices. I see usability tools and practices as a way to move forward software, but I wasn't seeing it a lot in these spaces. So I wanted to find out what the barriers were. And then of note, I'm based in the US, so I was I think one of the first international fellows, which really opened my experience in a lot of ways, thanks to many of you here. So that was 2022. And then 2023, I just kept the ball rolling. I finally found some people. I put myself out there and I found a community who also care about usability and software for science. Two places of note is since I've started with SSI, the US RSC group has really picked up a lot of steam, and they now have a working group that's dedicated to user experience and quite active. So I'm excited about that. There's also a Reddit page called Science UX. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. It leans more towards how to design scientific posters, which is a very important topic, but it's all user experience nonetheless. I then hosted a week-long workshop on usability in open source software at the Open Science Retreat, which was an awesome opportunity. And there's quite a few blog posts on SSI about that experience. And then I attended JupyterCon and Collaborations Workshop last year. And then I recorded 2 podcasts. Well, that was a new medium. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. Just getting yourself out there and speaking in a different way that's recorded is a really fun experience. And all while this fellowship work was happening, I started a new leadership role as Deputy Chief User Experience Officer, responsible for driving user experience initiatives and leading a team of 32. So during this time, there was a lot of hiring and mentoring and directing and leading internally at my organization. And I spent most of my day job advocating for the inclusion of UX at my organization, and my hope was to teach others how to do the same. Um, since then, 2024, a little bit of a dip. My program, the All of Us Research Program, has been in the news for not amazing things. You can do your own research, but importantly, we lost 34% of our funding pretty unexpectedly. And over the past 2 months, I've gone through a round of layoffs that has impacted 70% of my staff. And so if anybody wants to talk offline about what that means and navigating that, happy to do so. It's just been emotionally, physically exhausting, and still feeling the after effects of motivating a very small team to do the same work that a group of 30 people did. Um, since then, I thought a lot about I sort of started to feel like a fraud. Like I'm advocating for user-centered design. I'm succeeding in growing a practice, and then watching my department be the first cut in a major cut. Um, so I really been thinking a lot more about why human-centered design is not considered fundamental, particularly in medical research, because there are so many principles of beneficence and justice and morality that medical research purports to stand up for. But when it comes time to actually implementing human-centered design and needs, excuse me, sorry for the background noise. There's a lot to be desired. So just pausing here. I mean, it's not the best update, but I'm when life gives you lemons, you turn it into lemonade. So where I'm going with this next year is I'm keeping my role, but I'm starting a new fellowship. And so I'm going to be starting at the Harvard Medical School Center for Bioethics, because I really want to understand what the role of regulators are in making sure that science done well is codified somewhere and not just an afterthought. So I'll be working on developing a set of bioethical usability practices that are much harder to ignore, and endorsed by regulators to implement in software for science, so that the right choice is the easy choice. And then I really do want to find more ways to codify user experience as a requirement. We have a lot in the US, a lot of great accessibility requirements, but when it comes to science for software and platform development, there's very little regulation in the US, and I hope to find ways to creatively find ways to support good design without, bogging down our system. So just to wrap up, I wanted to say, follow my progress. I started a new blog. I'm trying to work out loud and really share the journey of bioethics. If you want to talk about bioethics or have a question, please reach out. And just a call to action of keep refining your own journey as you learn more about your own career and your own interests and your own industry. I've changed a lot since my fellowship. So please, yeah, please keep in touch. And then just one closing slide is I want to talk about how the fellowship has impacted me and my career. And the meaning of fellowship is a really important one. Sorry, I just have some background noise once. Sorry for that. I just want to talk about the meaning of fellowship. It really is the benefit of my new fellowship coming up is it's in person. And one of the opportunities that I miss is seeing you all in person at various events. So fellowship to me really means just spending more time and seeing all your faces. Um, the expanding nature of sharing internationally, I can't say enough, you all have expanded my awareness and understanding, and just cultural awareness. Living and working outside of the US context has really helped me grow significantly. So any international fellows who have questions, please have them reach out. And then specifically, when I think about SSI, I sometimes laugh that this is a fellowship about software, because we deal with so much more than just software. And I see you all just way more beyond just software engineers and developers and RSEs and all of that. So these are the ways that I've been helped by the fellowship. And yeah, thanks for listening, and happy to follow up with anyone who has questions.